Massachusetts, chairman of the House Financial Services Committee. Congressman, thanks for being with us. The bill is passed in the Senate. It's got an additional $100 billion in tax breaks and sweeteners. There's even a provision on mental health care coverage. What's going to happen in the House now?
Well, it's still uncertain. I think it is likelier to pass than before, but the major difference, frankly, Anderson, is not what the Senate did. To be honest, representatives and senators have rarely taken each other as role models. There's not a lot of love lost between the branches. But what I think has changed is his reality. On Monday, there were a number of people who were still skeptical that there'd be some serious economic difficulty. It is also the case that we were hearing, as is often the case politically, only from those who were opposed, because the people who were for it assumed it would pass. Once it failed, a number of people began to hear about economic difficulty. In my own state, Boston University shut down some construction jobs. The state was unable to roll over some paper. So I think the reality is hit some members. To be honest, I think some of my colleagues on Monday were voting no and praying yes.
12 of the 37 Democrats on your own committee voted against it. I know the Republicans certainly are the ones who voted mostly against it, but a lot of Democrats voted against it as well. Have they changed their minds now? And are you concerned that some Democrats in the House may now, who voted for it originally, may now oppose it because of some of these add-ons?
That is possible. Remember, the tax incentives that were added are not in themselves unpopular. Most of them are very supported, but there are a number of Democrats who are very hawkish on the deficit. In fact, the only people who really seem to care about the deficit these days are a group of moderate Democrats called the Blue Dogs, and they, in fact, were able to get a bill through the House that extended these tax incentives, but in a way that offset the deficit. As to my committee, let me be very clear. The chairmanship does not come with the power to command people how to vote. And what you have on the House side, frankly, is a concern that not enough will be done to forestall foreclosures. My own view is that we were able to write into this bill, over the initial objections of the Bush administration, significant advances in protection. We weren't able to get everything we wanted, and that's, in fact, I tried earlier today with the support of Speaker Pelosi to rewrite some of those protections to make clear that they would be useful. We were rebuffed by the Republicans. So I don't expect any of the people on the committee who are most concerned about that to switch. I think the hope we have is that the switches will come among the Republicans. And again, I want to say, though, on both sides, reality bites, and reality bit on Tuesday and today, so that members who were figuring that, gee, there was no downside politically to voting no, some of them have now encountered one.
As you know, there's a lot of anger out there at Wall Street, at people who took out loans they couldn't repay, and certainly at Washington, at lawmakers and at the president. You have said repeatedly the last couple of weeks that this resulted because of too little regulation over the years, allowing the financial community to make a lot of mistakes, in your words. Do you personally feel any responsibility for part of that failure?
No. Some of the Republicans have been trying to make a point about Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. Here are the facts on this. The Republicans, of course, controlled Congress, and especially the House, from 1995 till 2006. They never passed a bill to improve the regulation of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
But in 2003...
May I respond?
Sure, go ahead.
Yes, in 2003, I said there wasn't a crisis. And there wasn't a crisis in 2003, but I was for regulation. And in 2000, well, we were in the minority. In 2007, when I became chairman of the committee, within 4 months, we passed the bill that gave all the increased regulatory power they wanted. It's true. There wasn't a crisis in Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, or Lehman Brothers, et cetera. The subprime crisis came after that, or the subprime problems, and caused a crisis. But the facts, Anderson, are undeniable. They had 12 years when they were in the majority and passed nothing. We came to power, and within 4 months, the committee I chaired passed a tough regulatory bill on Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and the rest of the Congress did it in July.
So you feel point blank you were not protecting Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac too much over the years?
Well, in the first place, the notion that I stopped them from doing anything they wanted to do, you know, if I could have stopped them from doing something, I would have stopped the Iraq War, the Patriot Act, and multi-hundred-billion-dollar tax breaks for very rich people. They were in control. When did I suddenly acquire the ability to stop the House Republicans under Newt Gingrich and Dick Armey, et cetera, from doing things? Secondly, the facts are, I was for some reform of Fannie Mae. I also wanted to preserve the housing mission, but the facts are very clear. I became chairman in January of 2007, and within 4 months, we passed the bill. So what's the argument?
What do you think the likelihood of getting something passed is?
I think it's better than even, and I think the main change is reality. I think that it's not possible now to scoff at the predictions of doom if we don't do anything.
Congressman Barney Frank, appreciate your time. A lot more angles tonight to the breaking